So we're going to welcome Richard back on stage. So perhaps you're going to show us the next 30 years of Csound.
Well, here's the deal.
It's a time machine here.
Ian asked us to asked if I wouldn't talk a little bit about Boulanger Labs, thinking that maybe student developers here or might be interested in either how that worked or what it is or the like. As I'm setting this up to show you a couple of cool pictures and tell you a little bit about what Boulanger Labs is, do I think that someone could make some serious money with Csound now, make a company that really makes plugins and makes things? And the answer is yes. Does Boulanger Labs make money with Csound? The answer is no. Do our apps sell, and they sell for some money? Yes. And that's enough to buy pizzas for my students and hang out. Boulanger Labs is more like a club, and it's more like a vehicle, and I want to recommend that to you as educators. It's more like a vehicle for promoting my students. From Boulanger Labs, the big get this year was one of my students got courted by Apple, and I'll describe the courtship. They paid off his lease on his apartment in Boston, 4 months of his lease. They flew him back and forth to California 2 times, 3 times. They put him up in a 5-star hotel when they courted him. Then they paid for the 5-star hotel for 3 months while their realtors went around finding him a place. His starting salary is in the ballpark of $150,000, $160,000. He wrote a simple CS Jam app for Boulanger Labs. Right? My kid who wrote CS Grain got hired by Vimeo right while he was still finishing his bachelor's degree at $120,000. He was working for them around the clock, getting in. One of my other students at Stanford this year, full scholarship, he wrote the Muse app with me. Now, it's not just because they wrote the apps with me that they're, but I feel like that's what Boulanger Labs is doing. It's leveraging, pulling together the smartest, greatest kids, having the greatest fun with them you can imagine. I'll show you a couple of pictures. We hang out at night, which is costing me, in terms of my marriage, a little bit. My wife's saying, you should come home, and why are you doing that till 2 in the morning with your students or whatever? And we're just hanging out, coding, and I'm lucky because I can kind of hang out at Berklee and after hours in our conference room and just hang with these great kids doing great stuff. And they teach each other. They help each other. So as this kid's graduating, he's handing off part of his unfinished project and showing this, and you'll finish, and it all grew out of and grows out of my classes. So at Berklee, I have a circuit bending class, and we make stuff and circuit bend speaking spells, and we spend long Saturdays there hanging out and stuff like this. I have my Csound class, of course, because Csound's under the hood in most of our apps. When I came to the first Csound conference, Csound Tilde had kind of gotten solid, thanks to Stephen Yee. Now, I know I showed you John Fitch's picture and Victor's picture. Stephen's picture is very important, too, in the development of stuff. So, too, now is Rory's picture. Because Cabbage is mind-boggling. And then the whole thing he's doing now with the game stuff, with Unity, is everyone at Berklee is secretly going crazy, and we have a whole game major now at Berklee, and my guy who's teaching it was a former student of mine who's now on the faculty from NYU. He worked for harmonics or electronic arts, and of course he knows Csound, so he's starting now to teach game audio with Csound at Berklee, and thanks to Rory, we're going to have that's going to explode. Csound Tilde came at the first conference, and I showed up, and we had coded a lot of Ian's instruments and other things, and they worked in Ableton Live, and all kinds of new music was possible. And DJs like BT and Richard Devine and Scanner and the like were all starting to use Csound in their projects without knowing it or with knowing it. And it did make amazing things possible. It allowed you to have 12 reverbs and 20 things and take them out and pop them in and do all this. It was awesome. So that's Csound Tilde. But then we had the first Csound conference, and we all sat around in a circle and said, man, it'd be so cool to get Csound on the iPad. And Stephen Yee went back to work, and about a month later, Csound runs in iOS, and for the last 2 or 3 years, my kids have been going nuts making apps for iOS. And then at the conference after that, we get these Cosmo guys who've got Csound running on Raspberry Pis, and now my kids have gone Pi crazy, and we have a EuroRack module, which I'm using in the concert tomorrow night. Csound's running on a mold modular synthesizer, so it goes back to my picture of Alan Perlman, because now I have Csound in a modular system. And I've spent the last month, thank you Stephen for reminding us of history, but I spent the last month recoding all my tracked instruments. They all run on the modules now, and I'm able to play them and tweak them and hear sounds that they could never make before, because now I'm controlling them with theremins and brainwaves and all kinds of things. So that's why you keep the history. Not just because, wow, we can actually not just play a video of my old piece from '79 and show you Barry Vercoe's old lab, but we can actually play the piece and play with it. Play with it in Csound Tilde, play with it in Cabbage, play with it in on the Raspberry Pi. So that's cool, and that's things that Boulanger Labs has been doing and is doing. Now, if I could find that adapter to show you this picture, oh, here it is, good. I think you'll like to see a little bit of the current Boulanger Labs crew. I think you pushed the laptop, because this was a fun one. We just did this a week ago. Not a week ago, a couple of months ago. Now, 2 things in this picture are cool. So this is like, so every year it's a different crew, and they're coolest guys. But this is a little bit of my home studio. See that tape recorder over there, over this guy, Paul Batchelor's head? That's the tape recorder from Barry Vercoe's experimental music studio in 1979 that I tape, track, and convert on, off of the PDP-11. My son got his PhD at MIT. Barry had the tape recorder in his office, and one Christmas, the greatest Christmas present I ever got, Adam brought that home and said, Dad, it still works. Miller Puckett, MSP, talked to me once and said, man, I used to calibrate and clean the heads on that thing all the time before concerts. So it's now part of my studio. This is my gang. That's Jizza from Wu-Tang Clan. We did a TV show at Boulanger Labs. These are my whiz kids. Daniel Moore, he's writing the new CS Touch. Ash Vinay, all kinds of new brainwave stuff. Paul Batchelor, he's now at Stanford. And Darius Peterman, he's the guy that just left me for Apple. So, and Darius did CS Moore. And this is the small group. Some have now graduated. Daniel and Ash are still working with me on stuff. Let me show you one quick picture that's kind of nice, and then just tell you one of the little, 2 little stories. Tobias Enhus. So Tobias wrote Electric Priest. You might remember that piece, one of my early proteges. Well, here we are in the studio. Here's his studio, and he's running Csound, all the samples on his Kima system, which is in the back here. So he's converted all of his Csound things to Kima. We're doing a TV show. This was a Fox television show about these android robots. It played for a year. I forget the name of the show now, but we're there. He's putting in Csounds that I've made in his studio there. This is the Chemical Brothers studio, where he has a space in LA. This is my stuff, because I went for a week and hung out with them, and I brought CS Spectral, one of our Csound apps, and my modules, and my Qubit Nebula running Csound right here. That's 1. In tomorrow's concert I have 3. I had 4, but I fried 1 2 nights ago. It's 4 in the morning, I'm making sounds, and I have 2 that are black and 2 that are silver, a little anal. I said, the silver ones would be nicer on the outside, so I unscrewed them, and I put the power in upside down, and so there goes a $500 module, but hopefully the guys will fix it. So I'm making sounds for the TV show. I'm out in LA with Tobias in the studio. Now wait, the day we did this, just as a side note, because the other thing that's so important, about Boulanger Labs is we have fun. So these are dive scooters because in the afternoon, Tobias and I went to Catalina Island on a boat scuba diving with scooters, and then we came back that night into that studio, made the sounds, and he said, hey, Dr. Be Cool, I'll use some of your sounds on the show. Oh, great. So I'm having a ball, and he goes, these robot sounds, and he's throwing a few in. We're smelling like hell because we've just gotten back from diving all day. We didn't have time to shower. I get home a day later, 2 days later, and I'm all excited, telling my students, telling my wife, I turn on the TV set. It's the episode we were working on, and there's my Csound going while the robots are running around, made on that little sort of laptop. So that's the other thing that Boulanger Labs is about. It's about kind of doing cool, fun things. Here's the other one I will show you. So these are the Qubit guys. Andrew Eikenberry and Jason Lin. And there's our friend Jean-Claude Rizet. So this was at the Csound conference at Berklee a couple of years ago. Jean-Claude was honored there. We know he's just passed. And, you know, these guys started in my circuit bending class, making little things. For Andrew's 491 thesis project, so that's another important class. We have the Csound class, the circuit bending class. We have my alternate controllers class, which does other things with interfaces. And so for his final project, he built a modular synthesizer with a bunch of Raspberry Pis. And then about a month later, they showed up after a concert, all excited because they had a birthday present for me. And it was a Csound Nebula module running, their granular synthesizer. And it launched their business. Their business now is doing amazingly well. They, they sell a whole ton of modules. As a matter of fact, I don't think you can get the Csound module anymore. They sold out 5,000 of them or something. So now they're selling the wave module and the chord module and the rhythm module and nanorand. And then they started another company called 2HP, and they sell little oscillators. And so they're doing awesome. They've got international distribution. So these guys made money. And that was the whole thing. And then I'll end my talk so we don't even run over. I've been teaching at Berklee for 30 years. When I started at Barry, I didn't have my job yet. I would go there, and then I got Berklee, and then I got my job, and I stayed with Barry, and we kept working. And so I've been there 30 years. And all 30 of those years, I would sit with my students and say, you should start a company. You should do something. And they didn't. They did great things. My students, Tobias left and went on and made a whole Csound library for Hans Zimmer. He is, right? So he did all that. That's how he got his gig in LA. But they still didn't, so I kept saying start a company. And then, so ultimately I started Boulanger Labs, it's a name, so that we could make stuff and they could ultimately go on. But the dream was, get out of Boulanger Labs, start your own company. This could be Boulanger Labs. I could have said to the Qubit kids, those two guys, hey Andrew, Jason, you want to make a Csound module? Let's do it together. I'm not doing any of this. I'm doing this for the same reason we're all doing it. It's like you can do this cool stuff with Csound. So it's not like Massenburg Labs, it's not like Dolby Labs, it's not like Bose. By the way, Bose, the company, Emir Bose, he taught at MIT. And when he left to start Bose, Barry Verco moved into his lab. It became the experimental music studio. Right? So I could have said, guys, let's do it. No. I'm thrilled and so happy. And I buy their modules. They sometimes give me a discount. But again, and I buy my students' CDs. And I buy my colleagues' books. Because I'm lucky now I can afford to. A little bit. As you get further in your career and you get a job and you get a buck, you support your students and friends that way too. Boulanger Labs, our apps look beautiful because one of my students is a phenomenal graphic designer as well as a fantastic musician. And so, it turns out if you're making something commercial, you want it to look beautiful. Cabbage stuff looks beautiful, keep getting more and more beautiful all the time, and that makes a big difference too. We all know how nice it is, how beautiful it is in our ears. That's number one all the time. Like it sounds good and we get higher than high. It's just like something happens. But most of our friends and students and colleagues, it's what they see first, not what they hear. It can sound like, oh wow, look, it glows. It's blue. And so all that stuff really does matter so much. And I'm lucky that Boulanger Labs has Matthew Centrello, who's been putting the look to things. We did have a big project, and some of you know it. Let me just show you one last picture. It's not like a grand finale picture, but it's nice. No, yeah, it is related to that, but where is it? Muse. I might have thrown it out. Oh, I don't see it. Hold on, let's just look in here for a second. Okay, we'll let it go. The point is I did get a big budget to work on the Leap Motion for and with BT. And I had a small team that worked on that, and that was very nice, and everyone got paid quite a bit of money to make that app. I don't think the app made $400. But the company had a lot of venture capital behind them, and they wanted a celebrity superstar to endorse a product, and so they channeled some money, and that can happen too. And when it does, so, you know, but this is a little bit of the look that the apps have, you know, that Matthew has a beautiful eye, a nice soft sense of color. So our stuff has a kind of consistent look and all that, and that matters a lot too. What matters to me and what impresses the hell out of me is how powerful they are, how great they sound. And so tomorrow night I'll use 3 iPads running these things. My modular synthesizers will be producing Csound from tracked and other things live. Everything you'll hear will be Csound live from a modular synth, full circle. I can't tell you how touched I was and how blown away I am that where I started 30 years ago with my inspiration, I hope it's not the end. I hope I don't get hit by a car on Sunday on the way. But, you know, it's like amazing that I could live in a world with all of you, and because of all of you, that would allow that dream to live and grow and still be whole, you know, at one perfect thing. And so I can just say, yes, it's worth starting a club called Rory Labs, called Alex Labs, you know, called Fitch Labs, and, you know, it's worth starting your things. And if you're so inclined, if you have that resource at your disposal. And if you're an individual and just self-motivated, you're a grad student, you're a student, you just say, okay, man, let's get the company going and let's see what we can do. And know that a lot of it is going to be free and nothing, and then little things are going to come and big things are going to come. I mean, all of us know of the idea that then someone buys you, they bought your little Winamp thing, and Apple bought it, and now you made $9 million because they bought your compression algorithm. Okay, sure. Like, I hope it happens to you, but I doubt it. So don't dream stupid dreams. Just dream like, hey, this is great. Let's make this cool, beautiful, powerful thing. Enjoy using them along the way. They'll trickle into stuff. And maybe, like I said, for my students, they've gone to Vivo. One of my students is Chief Technology Officer for Izotope now. Okay, the guy who helped me do all kinds of C programming stuff, Jonathan Bailey, writes all their apps. Right? Vivo, Apple, Stanford, Georgia Tech. So for me, it's a vehicle. I hope that you'll find a way of making Csound even more of a vehicle for you too. And John has an announcement to make. I just want to say at the end of my thing, how grateful I am to be here. how grateful I am for all of your incredible work that has been so inspiring and given me a chance to just say to more smart, cool people, look what you can do, and watch them go and grow. It's heaven, and that is what Csound is. That's the dream. That's what Csound is, really. John, you said you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, something I wanted to say.
Isn't there something they say like in Parliament or Congress, like the senator from whatever gives back his 2 minutes to the chairman of the...
It's actually inspired by what Stephen said. If I remember correctly, 6.08 is now available. I would put an announcement on the computers if only my computer would work. It's made a lot of internal changes, some of which leak out. Like the macros in scores now work. You may not have noticed, but they've already been broken. They're now as broken as the ones in orchestras. It's the same code. It's also got one major change to arrays, which we think is right. It's actually a slightly incompatible change, but we suspect it's not going to affect any pieces with a certain new code. And I think we have to live with it, because the other one was terribly broken. So anyway, it's there. I don't think the Mac system's up, isn't it?
Everything is up apart from Windows.
Everything except Windows is available now, so it should be
great.
there. Just haven't got around to sending out a message to everybody. So you get to hear it first.
We need to make it send emails.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you.
That's all I wanted to say, just to say it's there. It's much better.
We're back on screen. Thank you, John. I can't wait. I'm going to download it soon, if not right now. And I can't wait. There's a concert tonight, right?
Yeah.
Don't
That'll be
change
amazing.
the concept.
Wait, and John Fitch is premiering a piece tonight that he'll hear for the first time as well. It's going to be a premiere for him. Although he assures me he has heard it in stereo. It's the immersive experience that will be.
Never heard it.
Oh. He'd rather say I've never heard it.
Okay, well, thanks again, Richard.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
As Richard mentioned, there is a concert tonight at what time? 7:30?
7:30.
7:30 in Riverstown Hall. Yeah, which is it's if you just walk down past the what used to be a hurling pitch when I was in college, but I don't think they play any sport in it anymore. It's just at the end of the driveway.
And there's free wine on it.
And there's free wine at it.
Limited supply of free wine.
Well, if we go now, can we hit the free wine?
You've got to suffer for the pieces.
Okay, thanks to everyone for coming along anyway, and I hope you enjoyed the concert tonight and there's lots of wonderful stuff planned for tomorrow as well, and yeah, there's some more hands-on stuff tomorrow. Huh?
Including you.
Yeah, and look, I've got this. Look, where do we see this? I have to take this off now. No.
Was it a cabbage t-shirt?
It's a cabbage t-shirt.
Oh, right on!
Look at
Hey,
this,
that
yeah.
logo is beautiful. Is that logo beautiful? I was just talking about how important design is. That is such a great logo.
Yeah.
Because
it was terrible at the start.
it sort of says like you're smart, your brain, and then it also says, cabbage, like when you think of it. I love it. It's
You get it, you get
it's
it, you get
perfect. And
We'll
then
talk
it's
about it,
got
yeah.
your haircut too.
Yeah, I know. It's really encapsulated. Huh?
We will be selling t-shirts tomorrow.
No, you can't buy these. No, you have to earn them.
Oh.
Okay, so that closes this session anyway. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Coffee outside.
Well, we ended well.
Sorry, I had you.
Oh, that's good.
I hope it's strong enough.